What's up, everybody? We're bringing it back. Friday video, right back at it again. Another NFL DFS video. So I had to bring in one of the smartest people that I know because this is a greasy slate. So I had to bring in Dill. Dill, too ill. Dill. I don't know. You go by so many names. How do you want to introduce yourself? Say what's up to the people.
What's going on? We'll just go by Dillon for now. Changing Twitter names, going private, back in the job hunt. COVID, so keeping it low key right now.
Definitely feel you. For the people out there that don't know, Dill is a Draftkings player, former worker at Pro Football Solutions. Anything else? Like, what else is on your resume? You got a lot of shit on your resume.
Sports Info Solutions in Copley. Was an NFL video scout. Worked for Roto Underworld for a little bit during the Eagles Super Bowl year, and I charted them all season, which was pretty cool. Yeah, pretty much that. Wrote about things freelance, published about A.J. Brown. We'll get into that later, too. So.
Yeah, man, we'll definitely get into this one. This is going to be a funny video. But if you're suffering from stress, anxiety, joint pain, visit Natural Heights at 1-800 National Joseph Road in San Antonio, or call them at 210-5192-1060. And also, if you're looking for a book, use mybookie.ag, promo code PubSportsRadio, right here at the bottom of the screen, as you can see. But let's get into this slate, Dill, because this is a juicy one. One of my favorite ones, because, you know, this is the time of year where a lot of people are dumping a lot of money into these slates right before NBA season. So, you know, you're going to catch a couple of fish in here. Some people that set their lineups here on a Friday and don't change it Sunday morning. But let's go over to DraftKings. And we'll get into, do you want to go game by game, or do you want to go highest point totals on the board? Because as the point totals go down on the board, it's usually like one-off situations for me.
Yeah, let's go game by game.
Game by game here. All right, let's start off here with this Cleveland-Tennessee game, one of the highest point totals on the board here. I think Tennessee's a 6-point favorite. I seen it, the highest line I've seen is -6.5. I'm pretty confused here. I would say Cleveland actually has a shot. I don't really know how to really look at this game, but I like the DFS side of it. What's standing out for you in this game between Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb? That is the biggest question I feel like from this game when I look at this.
Yeah, people are laying the over pretty heavy, too. It's looking like it's starting to move towards 53, which doesn't make sense with two teams that want to run the ball. 5.5-point home favorite for Tennessee. Derrick Henry priced up, though, on DraftKings, 9,200 for a guy who doesn't catch the ball, relying on touchdowns. Cleveland soft on run day. Nick Chubb seems like a fade to me. Going to be a little less owned than Derrick Henry, and Kareem Hunt looking like less than 3% owned. From GPP standpoint, Kareem Hunt seems like the smash play when everybody's chasing Chubb versus Henry.
Yeah, I definitely do feel you on that, because when I first looked at this, I kind of like Nick Chubb because especially on FanDuel, from the aspect of like the price difference, but the situations I feel like aren't really that different. But like you said, though, Kareem Hunt's sitting there at $5,400, and that's a good leverageable spot. Do you have any love for your main man here, Baker Mayfield, at $5,300? You're going to pull the trigger this week? Is this the Baker 300-yard week that we all been waiting for?
Yeah, I think if you're going to fade Nick Chubb, I guess you could go after Baker, but
Baker Jarvis stacks, man. Bring it back with A.J. Brown.
It worked last week.
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry is priced higher than Cooper Kupp this week, that's awful. But, I mean, Jarvis Landry has target share over 33% last 4 weeks and air yard share over 35% last 4 weeks. He's the only other guy there, Rashard Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones, Austin Hooper, Njoku, Harrison Bryant, all pretty bad. I think you could stack Baker with Jarvis and Kareem Hunt, but you'd have to run it back with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, best player in the game. Probably best player in the NFL, low owned. Guy can get 4 touches and score 2 touchdowns, as we saw last week.
I'm looking at Jarvis right now. I think he's a better FanDuel play than DraftKings play for me, because in this $6,000 range on FanDuel, there's like guys like Brashard Perryman, Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, Corey Davis, and those guys, like the price difference between that wide receiver range is really different on FanDuel. So if I do play Jarvis Landry, I definitely do feel like he's a better FanDuel play than DK play. But one of the injury news that we definitely have to hit on early on in this game is Jonnu Smith is going to be out for this game. So everyone's probably going to play Anthony Ferkser in cash at $2,500, especially after seeing Kyle Rudolph hit last week. Are you a Ferkser guy or are you a Jeff Swing guy?
If you're going to punt tight end, I think it's not terrible. He's going to be low owned still too, relative to the position, but I'd rather just avoid pass catchers in Tennessee that aren't A.J. Brown.
Yeah, but
Davis is cheap too.
Dude, Anthony Ferkser, man, $2,500. I actually have him plugged into my cash game lineup build right now over on FD, but I feel like FD is a different situation than DraftKings. DraftKings, you might get burned even if he does still catch a touchdown or something like that. On FanDuel, if your tight end catches a touchdown, you'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, or he gets that 4 catches for 40 yards type of stat line here. But let's head over to the wide receiver position. You already said it. A.J. Brown, definitely one of the best GPP plays on the board this weekend. Main reason why you love him, Dill, can you give me an A.J. Brown reason for the haters out there?
He's modern PO. Terrell Owens. Guy can score on any play. 230 pounds, 6'1", runs like a 4.5. Absurd. I mean, we saw him house an onside kick last week.
Dead ass, man. Yeah. He's getting like 6 targets a week with like 4 receptions, and he's scoring a touchdown off of every one of them. Like, it's absolutely absurd. So let's go into this Indianapolis-Houston game, because this is a game that I feel like definitely a pivotal game on the slate here, because we know Will Fuller is going to be out for the Houston Texans. Rest in peace, Will Fuller, man. You did your job this year. Stay off the ganj, dog. Stay off the ganj. Bray told me about it.
Heads.
We got here $5,600. Brandon Cooks. He's looking like what, highest owned player of the slate this week?
I think so. Yeah, by a lot.
Would you play him in cash games? Because in GPPs, I can definitely understand the fade. You don't ever want to play a chalky Brandon Cooks. But, like, remember early on in the season, like, I think week 3 or week 4, when we're having, like, Twitter notifications between each other on, like, Sunday morning, like, Brandon Cooks is about to be, like, a sub 10% play. And now we're in week 13, and he's the chalkiest player on the slate. I definitely feel like he's definitely, like, done me good earlier in the season. Why do I need to play him now? Like, high ownership, but I don't know, man. I think in cash games I can understand the love for him at $5,600. But thoughts on this Houston Texans side of the ball here?
Pour one out for Will Fuller, but chalky Brandon Cooks, who's on his 4th team. This is one of the only games that's over 50 points. They're 50.5 points total right now. People are betting the over. 3-point dog at home, Texans. I mean, Deshaun's going to throw it. Deshaun Watson, top 3 quarterback in the NFL, 5,600. That's so cheap. I think he's core for cash, but for GPP, I think I want to come in underweight. Indy's defense has been pretty good. They're getting back Bobby Okereke and defensive lineman Buckner, who's one of the top in the NFL. They're going to look a lot stronger with the pass rush. But it's going to be hard to fade that. He's going to fit so easily. But going back to the last game with Ferkser, I think someone you could get leverage off of is Jordan Akins. I think they're going to use him in the slot a lot. He already has a lot of slot snaps this year as it is when he's healthy. But he's also really high owned, looking like 15% so far at tight end.
Yeah, definitely like that play. One player that I pulled up on the screen right here, definitely I think is a name that we remember from last year in the fantasy community. Kiki, do you love me? Kiki QT, $3,500. I'm shocked they didn't change his price. $500 only more. I felt like after Kenny Stills got cut, that's when you started playing Kiki QT. And now Will Fuller being out here. I know the Colts like to run a lot of zone, so I feel like the way the beat zone is like the underneath route. So definitely a Kiki QT type of game here. You might see Brandon Cooks bottle up and bust here. Always Brandon Cooks bust at high ownership. But who's to bring back for the Colts? Definitely a weird Colts situation. It's like a type of situation that is fantasy fruitful, but you just have to pick the right pieces.
Yeah, I feel like if you're running back with the Colts, you're going to want to do it with only one guy. I mean, they're 3-point favorites on the road. T.Y. Hilton's dusty, but he scored last week. He actually had a good fantasy week. Michael Pittman seems like a stud, but Phillip Rivers just sucks.
I got Pittman pulled up on the screen. It's a guy that I can't get off of, especially on FanDuel at $5,600. Like, I'm trying to read off some of the wide receivers in that price range. Like, some of the wide receivers in the same exact price range as Michael Pittman Jr. is like Allen Lazard, Sterling Shepard, Denzel Mims. So I really like him on FanDuel compared to DK. But I could definitely understand the love on DK. $4,900. I feel like if you're running it back with the Colts guys, I would go with Pittman and Jonathan Taylor over Hines, because I feel like Hines is still going to carry some ownership with him balling out last week. But I definitely want to pick Jonathan Taylor on both websites. I feel like he's way too cheap, especially on FanDuel. On FanDuel, they're the same exact price at $6,400, and FanDuel is half a point PPR compared to DraftKings, which is full point PPR. So if Hines is way higher owned, I'll take Taylor to the bank all day and try to chase the touchdown upside there. How do you feel about the Hines versus Jonathan Taylor type of situation here?
Yeah, I like Jonathan Taylor too. I think after getting COVID, people are going to be off that 22 touch game he had. What was it, 22 carries? He had 26 touches total. Going back to Pittman too, if Pittman had like 8 targets last week, 9 targets. For DK, you're looking for volume, and that's definitely the guy to consider. But yeah, if you're chasing this game to go nuts, I think Jonathan Taylor is what you want. If he gets 25 touches, you're looking at the Millie Maker running back right there, less than 6K. 12% owned. Naheem Hines coming in lower ownership right now, but pretty much the same price. I'd rather go with Jonathan Taylor with the touch volume. And Houston's run defense gave up like 240 to Derrick Henry the other day. Jonathan Taylor's not Derrick Henry, but he's capable.
Yeah, one thing that I like that you said was about the COVID news for Jonathan Taylor. I think like a lot of people didn't really read in too deep about that. He was in proximity with somebody with COVID, so he didn't actually have COVID. So like I don't get why people are saying like Jonathan Taylor coming back off COVID, he might not be healthy, blah blah blah. Like, nah, dude, he's absolutely fine. Hopefully he just gets the touches. We know the talent of the player, and you just want to play talented players and hope they hit on the right week sometimes in DFS this late inside the season. But the next game that we're going to go to is the Raiders and Jets here. A game that I'm really loving. I'm glad. I was praying to the heavens last night that Josh Jacobs wasn't going to be at practice today, and we got it. And I'm playing Devontae Booker over David Montgomery in every lineup in cash this week. But love Devontae Booker here in this spot. I don't really feel like this is a Jalen Richard, Theo Riddick type of game. This is like a game that the Raiders, even though they're going from West Coast to East Coast, this might be like a trappy type of game. But I feel like in COVID situations this year that we really seen these road teams, like the home dog doesn't the home favorite really doesn't hit like that. And the Jets aren't going to ever be favorites to any team in the league. So I feel like the Raiders here definitely looking for a bounce back spot. Devontae Booker, good spot. Bad Jets defense here. And then Darren Waller's always going to pop up if you're looking for the highest floor tight end on the slate, $6,100. I think the more interesting question here is who you running it back with on the Jets here, because you can get real ugly and greasy here this week and play like I would say like a skinny stack here and get like Booker, Waller, and run it back with one Jets, and then like have like a little pretty other game type of stack. Who would you run it back here on the Jets?
Denzel Mims, no question.
Denzel Mims, no Perriman love for you?
No Perriman. Denzel Mims, air yard stud, target share stud. He's going to get it right. I think this is the week he finally hits.
Jonathan Abrams isn't playing this week too, so that's definitely an area to exploit. But I don't trust Adam Gase, because if it's any other coach besides Adam Gase, Denzel Mims would have smashed this year.
Yeah. I mean, he is smashing, all things considered. And he was injured for so long with a hamstring injury. I mean, he's 3 weeks in a row now with 8 targets. It's not like he's not doing well. He's playing almost every snap. 10 fantasy points 3 weeks in a row. I don't know. The Raiders are kind of soft. They have Damon Arnett. I remember we were watching the draft together, and he got drafted. We had no clue who he was.
Yeah, honestly. And Abrams is out also as well.
Playing, yeah, I mean, I think Mims is going to smash. I'm just not going to take a chance on Rashad Perriman with Darnold playing. Maybe Crowder, but 100, that's too much for me. I'd rather just
Crowder's not good. I'm a Crowder guy, but Crowder's not good. I don't think he's a good football player anymore. Like, I think he was just a guy that took advantage of just practice squad players around him rather than like Denzel Mims, who could be a legit receiver. Perryman, I don't think he's a good NFL player, but he's a startable NFL player. I wish we had him for the Eagles.
He's field stretcher. I mean,
yeah,
he's a guy you can take a shot on, and he's been hitting two of the last 3 weeks. I think it's been. And even last week he was okay. He had a 30-point game against the Patriots. But I don't know. I just like Mims' opportunity just so much better. Devontae Booker, I feel like Alec Ingold's going to steal a touchdown from him inevitably. Like, the good thing about Booker is, like, the Raiders running backs, it's Josh Jacobs and then pass catchers. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, Booker was drafted before, profiles pretty well. He's heavier than the other two. He's probably a pretty
popular prospect coming into his NFL career. I thought he was going to be really good. I was on him over Royston, 5'9" Freeman.
Yeah, I mean, I love Royce Freeman too, but just not built for today's football. I think Darren Waller, though, is probably the best play. But I feel like we also got to bring up Nelson Agler, man.
I knew you were going to bring it up, man. I was like, is he going to bring it up?
He's just crushing. It sucks that Carson Wentz was the issue for Nelson Agler.
Dude, you know what I did on FanDuel last week that, like, fucked me up and, like, really turned me a leaf on Nelson Agler? I played Dalvin Cook, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce. So, like, I needed the most salary saver of, like, greasy wide receivers, and the other two wide receivers I plugged in was Nelson Agler and Keelan Cole. It was like, am I really about to play Nelson Agler in cash? What does my life came down to? But I really do think he is the Raiders' #1 wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, Henry Ruggs not doing it. Renfro's okay, but I don't know. The Jets are so bad. I'm not really interested in this game that much. I think if I'm going to take anybody, it's going to be Booker and Waller. I don't think you really need to run back either of them. But Mims is cheap too if you're looking for cheap. But I think that's really it for this game.
Yeah, let's go over to
more owned than Mims.
Who'd you say?
Perriman's more owned than Mims. So.
Yeah, nah, bro. People are just box score watching when it comes to this too. Let's head over to the other game though, because I feel like there's nobody that's really high owned in this game. New Orleans versus the Atlanta Falcons. They played a couple weeks ago, but now they're running it back again. Another divisional game here. You're a Taysom Hill type of guy because I actually think he's a bad football player.
I think he's a bad football player.
Right? I don't know how he's starting over Jameis right now, but
it's got to be a money thing. They paid Taysom Hill so much money in the offseason that they got to justify it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really like anything from this game, but, like, Julio feels too cheap here. If he plays at $6,600, like, I don't know how much Julio I'm going to get to, but it's going to feel wrong not playing Julio at $6,600. It's like, if I would have saw that price tag 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been fucking going off, like tweeting about it every 5 seconds. But I don't know, man. Julio's not the same guy anymore. Ridley feels a little bit overpriced compared to the wide receivers. It seems like price range. Michael Thomas, I like his target share, but I don't like Taysom Hill at all. And Taysom Hill killed Alvin Kamara. So I don't know, man. Is there anything in this game that you like?
I think it's if you asked us in before week one, we had a Saints-Falcons game inside the Dome, and the most expensive player is Calvin Ridley. We would have just laughed at it at 7,200. Like, Alvin Kamara is $7K.
I know, man. I'm a greasy GPP player that, like, really likes to go for, like, sub-ownership because, like, I have a weird way of, like, picking running backs anyway, so that's the reason why I gravitate towards the more GPP competitions. And, like, Kamara is staring at me, especially 7K on DK where the passing floor. But that's the thing. The passing floor isn't there anymore. So it's like you're really just hoping for a Kamara game like he had against the I don't even know. Like Kamara doesn't really get it done on the ground like he used to because they don't really use him like they really need to because they're number one team in the NFC. So
yeah, both these teams had super fluky weeks last week too. They both blew out the other team, both AFC West teams. So I think ownership's just going to stay low on that too. I think Julio Jones is really in play though.
Right, $6,600. I kind of like the Saints defense here. Like usually, in a game that like I pass on, I usually like look at the defense or something like that. Like last week, I passed on like the Rams 49ers game besides a couple pieces on the 49ers side of the ball, but I played like the Rams defense or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I kind of like the Saints defense here at $3,600. They've been really getting after the quarterback in these last couple of weeks, and Matty Ice is definitely always due for an interception, but definitely a defense that you want to target because you want to pick a defense that's going to find themselves in pass situations. And Atlanta sometimes go into like really pass-heavy game scripts, especially if Todd Gurley's not here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're going to throw a lot. It's the same reason I like Atlanta's defense at 2,400. If you want to punt defense, I mean, we just said Taysom Hill sucks. Don't think he's a real quarterback. I mean, this team embarrassed Derek Carr last week. No reason they can't embarrass Taysom Hill either. Guy's turnover prone. He likes to run the ball. He's an erratic passer. There's going to be a lot of turnover opportunity in this game if it really shoots out. The line on it is 45.5 though, which is pretty low. Saints are favorites.
That seems like an ugly type of game where like the Saints get up like 7-0 and they think it's 21-0 and they just run the football for the whole entire game with like Latavius Murray.
Yeah, that's what happened last week. I mean, Taysom Hill didn't look good against the Falcons when they played too. What was that, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago.
And he was, what was he, like 4,800? He was a tight end that week.
Yeah, he got it done on the ground. Like that's the only way I feel like he gets it done is on the ground because fantasy hasn't really caught up to rushing quarterback touchdowns are so like fruitful for fantasy scoring. It's like one of the flaws in fantasy still, I feel like.
Back-to-back weeks with 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah. That's not going to happen again. They just played, you know? Like, I don't know. This game's not that interesting to me. I think Kamara, if you're playing, like, I like to enter a lot of different lineups. I think Kamara's in play. Julio definitely play. Michael Thomas is in play. But I don't think you need to play the quarterbacks here. I think Matt Ryan's 5,600. I don't mind even double stacking him with Ridley and Julio, maybe even Hayden Hurst at 4K.
Yeah, it's a greasy way to do it, but I feel like quarterback this week, there's a quarterback that I really like that I'm just going to go overweight on like I did last week. I did the same exact process with like Patrick Mahomes. I'm just like, why am I even thinking about other quarterbacks? And I think there's like one clear quarterback play, and he's really not going to be that high owned in certain type of competitions depending on what you play. So, but this Detroit-Chicago game here, unfortunately, I don't think Swift is going to play this week. We were talking about this in DMs last night, but he's listed as questionable, but he didn't practice today, and it was because of illness, not even concussion protocol. So it's like I don't think he's playing. Like he's trending downwards, but I'll let you talk about this Detroit-Chicago game because I know there's a couple of Dill guys on this team.
Yeah, I don't think Swift's playing either. I have him out, which sucks. I have him in a lot of regular fantasy season teams. He's on my best ball million maker teams. This game sucks. Both these teams are awful. Lions just fired their staff. Bears should fire their staff. I mean, David Montgomery chalk, dude. Are you kidding me? 20% owned. I think I'm just going to cross him out, even if I'm building 150 lineups. Like, he had his longest run last week since high school.
Thank you for saying that. Since high school, not college, high school.
Yeah, and this guy was good in college. Like, he hasn't had a 20-yard run since high school, and that's just disgusting. I don't know. I think if you're going to play anything, Allen Robinson's cheap. Anthony Miller's 3,100. Those are probably the only 2 plays from this. And Galladay's not coming back. Hawkinson's interesting.
Yeah, Hawkinson's interesting because Kenny G's not playing this week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The tight end's already ugly, and Hawkinson's 4 for 40. Maybe you get the touchdown every week.
Yeah.
and you
It's
get
just
the
gonna be
touchdown,
ugly.
it's gonna be like I like Hawkinson actually at $5,000, $6,100 over on FanDuel. But a guy that you mentioned briefly, Allen Robinson. The only concern about Allen Robinson was Friday today. He got banged up in practice and they sent him home early, so he got listed as questionable.
Oh, wow.
People are figuring that out. So I don't know if he does play though. I would say 70-30 he plays, 60-40 he plays, which is different from 24 hours ago, which was 100% zero that he was playing. So just a name to monitor. But $6,700, I really do like Allen Robinson here in this spot. Mitchell Trubisky's splits versus Detroit are actually a real thing, Dill. It's a real thing. I'm not going to play Mitch, but I'll play at A-Rob. I'll one-off it.
Yeah, I think you're like, I mean, he's cheap, but I think you're capturing all of his ceiling if you just play Allen Robinson.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Mitch, you want Anthony Miller or Mooney. We both love Mooney, but Mitch doesn't take shots. He doesn't have the arm strength for it. I remember, like, was it 2 years ago where he did the 40-yard Hail Mary and he didn't make the throw, get the ball into the end zone? I don't know. Mooney's a stud, but
yeah, you just gotta wait a little bit. You just gotta wait a little bit. One of these quarterbacks are going to slip in the draft, and it's going to be a great spot for the Bears. I feel like I'm like between Allen Robinson and Mooney, I'm like low-key a Bears fan, but it just kills it because David Montgomery's there, so it just stops.
David Montgomery's so bad.
Bro, so bad. Like that's like
I don't have any of him. Him being bad. I don't care how
crazy.
bad.
Watch YouTube videos this week of like DFS videos, man. David Montgomery, $5,500. I'm like, dude, I might just max out cash games because he's going to be 70% owned.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit could be 32nd in run, but Montgomery is the 32nd best running back in the NFL. Probably lower, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably the 40th. I don't know. I'm not interested in anything from here. Chicago's defense is cheap, 3,100. They could give Matt Stafford all the hell in the world. No receivers. They just bottle up Hawkinson and AP. Game's over. Chicago's defense kind of a run funnel, but yeah, 3,100. That's interesting, actually.
Yeah, divisional defenses always catch my eyes, like divisional games.
I like that. Matt Stafford's dust, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, my boy Stafford's dust. But let's go to this next game because I feel like this is a really good game to talk about here. This Jacksonville-Minnesota game. I think this has Minnesota has the highest team total this week for Week 13. Man, you could go from so many different directions in this game. Not a Kirk Cousins guy. I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy, but I would actually play Kirk Cousins this week, especially on FanDuel at $7,300. If Tua gets the start over Fitzpatrick, we'll get into that later on this week. I'll probably end up playing some Kirk Cousins this week, but there's definitely a lot of good spots here. Dill, what's your favorite from this game?
This is an awesome game. I like so many players in this game. Tell you one thing I got wrong in the offseason, and that was Justin Jefferson. I knew his opportunity was going to be crazy, but I just didn't think he was that great. He wasn't even the best player on his college team. Didn't think he'd be the best player on his current NFL team, but apparently that doesn't matter if you have all the opportunity in the world. Something interesting I did last week with Dalvin Cook being chalky and being chalk this week too. I did a max one of Dalvin or Kirk, so I got to more Kirk than I should have. Didn't have BB in it, but had Jefferson and Rudolph with him a lot, which was great.
Yeah, Rudolph was the tight end play last week.
Yeah, but Vikings being 11-point favorites. Dalvin Cook's probably good chalk.
I think Dalvin Cook, like how when the defer good chalk and bad chalk, when chalk doesn't hit back-to-back weeks at like a high point, then it's definitely about to be a good chalk situation type of game. And I think, remember a couple weeks ago against Dallas, the Millionaire Maker lineup had Adam Thielen in there?
Yeah.
I think Adam Thielen's the guy that you want to pick off of COVID IR. Right around that same price range, you're going to get that leverage for ownership discount. And I think at $7,300, definitely could get the job done here and get a red zone touchdown because that's really the only way Adam Thielen really pays off anymore is just getting like 60 yards and a touchdown. and I think that's definitely doable here against Jacksonville. Jacksonville is one of those teams that really have been backdoor covering a lot this year, no matter who the quarterback has been, and Minnesota isn't like a top tier team. So I definitely like Jacksonville to backdoor cover. And if they backdoor cover here, then that means it's just another James Robinson week, and we live in a James Robinson world. $7,300. I love him here in this spot. One of my greasy game stacks I'm probably gonna have to go with is like Kirk with the pass catchers and run it back with like Robinson and fade the Dalvin Cook chalk. Like I feel like that's a one way you can really get right in a single entry. I think that's a really good single entry type of build rather than like a 3 max or like a 20 max type of build, because I don't think anybody's going to play Kirk Cousins in single entry.
Yeah, he's projected really low ownership, and you never want to play 2 running backs from the same game.
Yeah,
especially with a high total like that, a team total, especially for the Vikings. I mean, it's the third. There's only 3 games over 50. We already talked about 2 of them. This is the third one. So yeah, this game is going to go nuts. It's going to be on the back of James Robinson. He's playing almost every snap, getting almost every touch. I mean, we saw it against the Steelers too. Like he came out high, he had almost 100 yards against the Steelers. This guy's, I think he's just matchup proof.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how good he is. He's just getting the ball.
And the best thing about it is that I feel like he doesn't pop in projection systems like that. Like now he's starting to pop in projection systems like these last couple of weeks, but like I don't think people want to play a Jacksonville Jaguar running back.
Yeah, I agree. 7,300 too. It's like really he's more expensive than Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
But I think that's what you said is perfect. Like if you're going to play this game, get off Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. You stack it up with Kirk and the pass catchers, run it back with like the wide receiver situation. DJ Chark's too cheap at $5,400 on DK. Like on FanDuel, it's a little bit different, but on DK, dude, man, $5,400. Tell me not to play him.
Yeah, Mike Glennon was in the millie last week, so I guess he's all in play. I mean, Colin Johnson made the millie too on 10 snaps with 8 targets. Those things just happen, I guess. Mike Glennon's 4,800 too, so if you think this game's going to go nuclear, I guess he's in play, kind of. But, yeah, DJ Chark's stud, 5,400. Laviska Shenault, I love that guy.
Yeah,
Cole, love him too. I mean, even Tyler Eifert gets a lot of targets based on his snap share. But, yeah, it's tough. I think Chark's probably the only one I'd play on the pass-catching side. I think this game's going to go nuts. It's going to be on the back of James Robinson. Vikings defense is soft. And they usually blow spots. I got to shout out my boy MMA Locker Room. He's a Jaguar fan. He said, I know Robinson's number 3 in the league. And shouts to MMA Locker Room. He had the first female MMA fighter on the channel today, Sabina Manio. I forget her name. Man, been flipping through these NFL plays. But really good interview. They're just chopping it up like 2 Cali people, man. It was pretty funny interview there. It was interactive too. They had like the live chat going, like asking questions and stuff like that. Good interview if you're watching an interview. And we have a lot of different interviews in this last couple of weeks from these UFC fighters. But let's get into one of my favorite games on the board that people aren't gonna play. Cincinnati, Miami here. This is my greasy game of the day. I hope Tua doesn't play. There's a side of me that thinks like they would want to play Tua in this game because they're playing Cincinnati, and this is a really good evaluation game for them if they get Tua in the if Tua does play. But then there's also a side of me that thinks, why would they play Tua if he had a setback last week? And Fitz has obviously been playing way better football of recent. And if Fitzpatrick plays here, everybody's viable. Oh yeah, when Fitzpatrick's viable every week. I mean, that guy's a QB1, as weird it is to say it. Like 11 of the last 12 games he's played. Preston Williams out. Devontae Parker's so cheap. I think he's just so good.
Yeah, especially here in
pass catchers.
I love this spot here for I like how you said Devontae Parker. I think he's a better FanDuel play than DK play because he's $6,800. So touchdowns are really where you want to chase. And Devontae Parker, I think, definitely scores here against Cincinnati. And if he scores, then he's definitely viable to have a ceiling game. You know how Devontae Parker does? Last year, I feel like he had a lot of ceiling games. He was like a wide receiver one for like 33% of like the season. So he hasn't really had that happen yet this year, but there's still a couple weeks left in the season here, and I like Devontae Parker. Tight end position's ugly this week. Shouts to Jersey boy. Watched him play in a state championship game against Williamstown. Mike Joseki, $4,200. Man, Mike Joseki, still greatest athlete I think I've ever seen in person. $4,200, I feel like it's way too cheap. On FanDuel, you can kind of get greasy with it because of the touchdown opportunity, and Fitzpatrick's under center. I do like Joseki here. How do you feel about this game, Dill?
He's playing more snaps recently, which is cool. His snap count was getting so low. But Parker last week had 14 targets. I don't think I would double stack Fitzpatrick because you'd have to run it back. And all the Cincy guys' price are like right next to each other with Boyd and Higgins. But I mean, Gesicki's upside is just stupid.
Stupid. 4,200.
Yeah. So he had 2 games over 10 targets this season. You get that again at 4,200. You're looking at the nuts.
Yeah, remember coming into this season, people were talking about the Preston Williams splits, and that's the reason why people were fading Mike Joseki. Well, Preston Williams is out, so, like, I feel like this is a spot that people aren't going to, like, this is a type of slate where you're going to have to go to certain teams that people haven't really been going towards this year because there's a lot of big-name teams that are taking off of this slate. Like, we're not getting Deontay Johnson. We're not getting Patrick Mahomes and stuff like that. You're going to have to get greasy here on this slate. And I think people aren't going to play some of these players in this game. And I don't think that's correct because I think this game hits the over eventually. I don't know what the over-under is, but blindly looking at it, I think there's a lot of points to be scored in this game. But who knows with this dude, Brandon Allen, who kills all the Cincinnati run backs, so you can't really onslaught stack this game. But it's definitely a good one-off type of situation here.
Yeah, I agree with that. The total is 42.5, and people are betting the under, with the Dolphins being 10.5-point favorites. I think I really like Gio Bernard in this for some reason. 5,200, 0% owned, less than 1% owned. I'm seeing right now.
I don't think Gio Bernard is a good football player.
I don't think he's a good football player either. I mean, look at that mustache, dude. Jesus.
Yeah, the mustache gets me every week, and then I can't play Gio Bernard with Brandon Allen under center. Joe Burrow's back there. I think Gio Bernard would be a cash game play.
Yeah, he's got less than 10 carries 3 weeks in a row. He only had 3 targets last week. Even in a close game, Dolphins are projected to blow him out. But, yeah, I don't know. I think if you're making – I'm entering 150 lineups this week. Gio Bernard, I'm going to go.
You always do.
So,
people that don't know.
Yeah, I like to do 150 lineups. I like to throw more darts at the board. Better chance of hitting. Gio Bernard just sticks out so much to me. He's got no ownership. If he gets 10 points, he's going to get there. If he scores a touchdown, it might be the nuts.
Can I put you on a play that is, I think, people aren't going to smash it, especially on DK because he has the IR spot. Shamad Ahmed's not playing this week. He's doubtful. Breida's not playing this week. Guess who comes off the COVID IR tomorrow? Or not the COVID IR, but the regular IR. Miles Gaskins.
Yeah.
Bougie was happening. $5,900. Nobody's playing Miles Gaskin. He is about to smash in this spot. One of the running backs, especially on FanDuel, that I'm going to play at $5,500. While everybody plays David Montgomery and Devontae Booker. One way that I'm going to get different this week in GPPs is smashing Miles Gaskin here.
Yeah, I don't hate that. He's going to be no own. Like,
no
low ownership.
Only running back in the backfield, too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Malcolm Perry.
Dust.
What is he doing? Patrick Laird, fumble proof last week, pulled him right out. Yeah, Miles Gaskin, he was crushing early in the season. He made a milli lineup like twice, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 5,900, yeah, that's going to be hard to get off of, too. Since he sucks. They don't want to win.
And he has the IR tag on him right now, and tomorrow night around like 5 to 6 o'clock when you can take people off the IR before Sunday, unless Schefter drops a bomb that like Myles Gaskin got activated off the COVID IR, I don't think people are going to recognize that he got activated for this week.
I don't think people are even going to react to Myles Gaskin like a bomb from Schefter. I think people just see that name. They don't think anything of him. It's just because he's not flashy, but he's been consistent. And all you really need is 15, 20 touches. And
Mini James Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, he's small, but good pass catcher too. I mean, yeah, this game's actually very interesting. It's very concentrated.
Yeah, that's the reason why I like the game. Mills said he likes Boyd here in this spot. I don't know, man. I definitely do feel like the way they exploit Miami is definitely over the middle. I just can't play a pass catcher with Brandon Allen, dude.
Especially against Miami secondary. Miami secondary is very underrated. They're one of the top ones in the league. T. Higgins, grown-ass man. Don't hate that. Jakeem Grant's interesting, 3,500. T. Higgins, man, he's legit. I got him wrong in the offseason, too.
Yeah, same here. I thought T. Higgins was a bum.
Yeah, not an athlete, but doesn't matter when you're a grown-ass man.
Yeah, that's honestly. But then you see guys like Miles Boykin, who's a grown-ass man, and he fucking flamed out.
He sucks.
And he's a grown-ass man. He's like 6'5". He should have played for Notre Dame's basketball team. He would have had a better career.
Yeah, he's fake Chase Claypool.
Yeah, that has fake Chase Claypool, Miles Boykin. But as I digress here, we're going to get off this juicy game. That's one game. If Ryan Fitzpatrick does play for the Miami Dolphins, I'm smashing that game. New York Jets and Seattle Seahawks. To be honest with you, dude, there's nothing that's in this game that's like that I'm loving. Like, I love DK Metcalf. I always play DK Metcalf. But, like, am I playing DK Metcalf in my cash game? No. Am I playing DK Metcalf in my 3-max? No. Am I playing DK Metcalf in my single entry? Maybe. Because I don't know what to do with this team. Me and Rob were talking about this on our podcast right before we recorded. We were talking about the Colt McCoy situation. He asked me about it. I think Colt McCoy, terrible real-life quarterback. But for fantasy situations, I kind of like him because he's going to air the ball out. He isn't really afraid to sling the rock a little bit. So it kind of makes me kind of like these pass catcher options like Sterling Shepard, $5,300. I think Sterling Shepard could get the job done here. He's been getting a lot of targets of recent and has been showing like a consistent floor. And Seattle, maybe the Eagles are just that bad, but they couldn't exploit that secondary. And maybe people have a recency bias that Seattle's defense is really good now, but they're really not. And the way you want to attack them is definitely pass catching options. And Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, $4,900. I don't know if I'm going to pull the Ingram tag, but he's popping.
Yeah, all these guys are so low owned, and you know they're going to have to throw the ball. So, because Seahawks are going to score. They're going to score a will. And the Giants are going to have to try and keep up because the Giants are playing for first place right now. They're a playoff team somehow.
Yeah.
With Colt McCoy at quarterback in 2020. But DK Metcalf, going back to him, I think there's like this facade about him that people think he's like a GPP play only. But he really is safe because he gets consistent vertical targets, and air yards is how you win lineups with touchdowns. I mean, just look at his game log. It's nuts.
Nuts. Like, absolutely fucking nuts, bro. Like, DK Metcalf is like the guy you create in Madden and you play freaking career mode with. But he's actually a really fast outlier.
I mean, he's putting up video game numbers, dude. They put Darius Slay on him, and it just didn't matter.
Yo, Darius Slay isn't good at football, dude.
I've been saying that for a while, but people still think he.
I'm an Eagle fan. Darius Slay is not that good. Overrated.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I feel like DK Metcalf is like, I don't want to play DK Metcalf, but the ownership is going to make me play DK Metcalf because people are going to be like, oh, you can't play DK against Perry, blah, blah, blah. This, that, and the third. Look at the cornerback matchups. Dude, DK Metcalf is matchup proof. $8,200, sub percent own DK Metcalf. Like, you're just going to have to play him if you're playing more than like one lineup in cash.
You have the most accurate deep ball quarterback in the NFL with DK Metcalf, and they're going to take shots. James Bradbury, this is the guy that got burnt by Julio Jones for 300 in the game one time. Like, not really concerned about James Bradbury. Jalen Ramsey can contain DK Metcalf kind of, but still not interested. Tyler Lockett, I'm interested in a little bit. I feel like you should always boost one of those two for all your lineups. But DK Metcalf is the safer one. Tyler Lockett is way more volatile, lower target share, lower air yard share. I don't know. I think the thing that sticks out most in this game is Chris Carson.
I
Carlos
don't
Hyde
know.
looking doubtful.
Oh, Carlos Hyde's looking doubtful. Never mind then.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that.
They like Carlos Hyde, but I think this is the Seahawks get up big early.
I was going to say, man, I played the showdown slate and got burned by that Hyde touchdown. I had like a lot of Metcalf and captain with like a lot of Carson lineups running it back with like Rager and Goddard, like flipping between them, like 4-1 onslaughts on FanDuel. But Carson, man, I definitely do like the spot for him. Like you just said, Carlos Hyde might be out for this game. So if that is so, Dill, I definitely will add Chris Carson back to my player pool. Wayne Gallman, don't think I'm going to do it this week, but, man, he did me right these last couple of weeks. Played him in cash. He's done the job against Cincinnati and Philly, but probably going to fade him here in the spot. Throughout the Friday injury reports, we got way better running backs to, like, target. So I feel like a lot of people are going to play David Montgomery, man. I don't know why, man. So I'm just going to play other running backs in that price range, like Gaskin and Booker and stuff like that. Booker in cash, Gaskin GPP, and go along with my way for single entries and 3 max.
Yeah, I think Gallman's a good pivot, though. 5,600, pretty much same price. But I think more important, I'd rather just get to Sterling Shepard or Slayton or Ingram. They're going to have to throw, so. They're
going to have to throw a lot in this game. Like Pete Carroll said, he wants to run the ball 50 times or whatever, but the Giants suck. But I think a better game to break down here is going to be this LA Rams-Cardinals game. What do you like in this game? This is one game that doesn't have a high point total, but if you're a pace type of guy, these are probably going to be like the 2 highest pace teams on the slate playing against each other.
Yeah, I don't know why this total is so low. I feel like this should be the highest total on the slate. Kyler Murray, sub 10% ownership.
Shoulder?
Yeah, I mean, he's cleared from the injury report. I don't care about the shoulder thing. I think that was –
He didn't run, though. That's when it got scary, bro. When he doesn't run, it got scary. And when he didn't run last week against New England, it got scary. Like, it was one play that, like, all right, Kyler Murray, sub 10. I'm playing Kyler Murray. He did me well, especially against that Miami. That was the week that I really played him, went overweight when he was sub 10. But, like, and I thought about doing it against New England. I was just like, man, I don't know. I think a better interesting spot in this game is the pass-catching options that aren't named DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I mean, Hopkins is carrying a lot of low ownership because I think there's the Jalen Ramsey fear, but it's DeAndre Hopkins. I know if he's coming in at under 10% owned as well, he's really, really in play. But if you're worried about Kyler's shoulder, though, I don't think I'd be as interested in Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. But they're really cheap.
They're really cheap, dude. On DK here, Kupp is $6,100. Woods is $5,900. And then when you go on FanDuel, they kind of messed this one up here. Kupp is $6,600 and Woods is $7,100. So it kind of like
that's interesting.
It makes it really interesting of a thought process for people. Because Woods is going to pop better on FanDuel because of the touchdowns. But Kupp, when he does splash, he's going to splash. And I think Kupp is in a really good spot here against Arizona. So I think Kupp is like my favorite play from this game. But I also do like Christian Kirk here. Christian Kirk, $5,200. I think you can get a Kirk game here. If DeAndre Hopkins is going to be bottled up by Ramsey, then that leads for Kirk to do whatever he wants to do. Because you can't really say, is he a slot guy? Is he an outside guy? They line him up and put him in open space and let Christian Kirk do what Christian Kirk does. And that's just get yards. And I think this is a spot where he can improve off of like that 3 catches off of 6 targets and get like 7, 8 targets, 4 or 5 catches. And then you roll the dice of what you get with that.
Yeah, they've been using him like Michael Gallup in Dallas when Dak was healthy, just leaving him outside and was getting like premium target share, which if you think DeAndre Hopkins gets bottled up by Ramsey and Christian Kirk being less than 5% owned, he's in play. He missed 2 touchdowns last week. He missed one like 50-yard ball last week. I had so much of Kyler and Kirk stacked. I'm going to do it again. Fitz is out. Isabella's cheap still too, but I think Christian Kirk is going to be the one people are going to be fading because he's the middle price guy, forgotten child. Everyone loves Andy Isabella, even though he sucks. I love him too, but he's a body catcher and he's one-dimensional. Christian Kirk's in play. I think this game is going to be the nuts. I think you want to stack it all over the place and be overexposed to it if you're going to play multiple lineups as well. I think Robert Woods is my favorite from this game, though.
You think so? You're a Woods guy over Kirk because people are going to play the Patrick Peterson stuff, but then you look at the Robert Woods Arizona Cardinal splits, and it's absurd. I think I retweeted it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter over at Getting Bills. And look at those split stats of Robert Woods against the Cardinals, and it's completely absurd. No tight ends in this game that I'm playing. That's the only reason why I don't know if I want to play Kyler Murray, because I think one way that I'm going to have to go with this week is playing my tight end with my quarterback. Like, tight end's so ugly this week.
Yeah, I think something I want to do in this game, just to be different, is to bring back Kyler twice with both Woods and Cup, because I think with Kyler's pricing, you could single stack him with Kirk and bring it back with Woods and Cup, and I don't think people are going to do that. I think that's going to be low.
People aren't going to do that. People didn't play them.
Yeah, Josh Reynolds too, I think, is going to be really interesting this week, because if you think this is the game that goes nuts, Josh Reynolds outside is going to be great. Woods and Cup really alternate inside. Cup's dominantly a slot receiver, but they bring Woods to the slot a lot with 2 wide receiver sets with Reynolds on the outside and Higbee and Everett in line. But yeah, I just like this game so much. I'm going to double stack it. I might do 2 receivers from Arizona, 2 receivers from Rams. We'll see what happens. But I think this is the game that is in the million maker.
Especially with, remember I said earlier with the Kyler Murray shoulder thing? Man, I definitely do see what you're saying, man. Kyler Murray sub 10. I just hope he gets it done rushing, because last week I was on it, but he just didn't run. And if he doesn't run, he hasn't really been an efficient passer this year.
Yeah, New England has a history though of taking out the best player on the other team. Yeah. So I think that had a lot to play into it. At least that's what I'm telling myself right now, because he completed average for what he's been doing this season. Yeah, I think it's just slow owned. Kyler Murray is going to put up 40, and it's just going to be the nuts. I don't think any of the running backs are in play.
No, running backs aren't. This is the nuts for receivers.
And I think it's low owned.
Low owned, bro. I think the highest owned person in this game would be Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, that's what I have. I think, who would you rather play between Kiki Kute and Andy Isabella in tournaments?
Who do I have at that price range? I would find the salary and get the mids.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing Kiki with I like the Watson stack, but I think the Watson stack is more viable on FanDuel, where Jonathan Taylor and Hines are the same exact price. You know what I'm saying? You can play Watson, Cooks, run it back with Pittman, Taylor, and then plug in different pieces, because that's not going to take up a lot of salary. But on DK, I feel like there's better spots. One spot that I really, really, really like is in this next game here, Philadelphia, Green Bay. I think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback on the slate, by a wide margin.
Yeah, I mean, if the Eagles are good at anything, it's their run D. So Aaron Jones probably get bottled up, but he's coming in pretty chalky too.
Yeah, dude, I love it. This game's ugly, but I think this game is ugly. But once you deep dive into it, you can kind of get greasy, man. Aaron Rodgers, man, $6,800. He's been showing that he's vintage Aaron Rodgers this year, and he's having like a fantasy career high season. I think a lot of people in cash games, like you said earlier, Deshaun Watson's going to be a core cash game play. So I feel like one way that I'm going to do is play like the high dollar cash game stuff and play Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback. I did like the same type of theory with Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers is no Patrick Mahomes, but I think you can get the upside of Patrick Mahomes this week because the Eagles' defense is like real life bad, like not stat wise bad, like real life, like eye test, like bad. And if that is so, then they're going to play Devontae Adams. $9,000. I like this Adams spot here. Better FanDuel play because you can get cheaper options on FanDuel and kind of fit him in. On DK, I kind of like the guys that you talked about in the Rams-Arizona game, Woods and Kupp, a little bit more than Adams. But Alan Lazard also as well, $5,000. He just came back of recent this week. I think MBS is dust, so Alan Lazard's been getting the Aaron Rodgers usage. Aaron Rodgers is the type of guy that likes his guys, and Lazard is one of those guys. So $5,000 here. And then if you're looking to run it back, man, we're talking about this in the DMs last night. It's the week to do it, man. Miles Sanders, $6,700.
It's messy. I mean, Green Bay's defense, their pass defense is great. Their rush defense is just awful. And it looks like they're like willing to give up rushing yards because it's just more efficient to give up rushing yards. I mean, you saw David Montgomery run all over them. So,
dude, you took the words out of my mouth. If David Montgomery can get right, Sanders can get right here in this spot. Remember Sanders last year, Thursday Night Football against Green Bay, and he got right?
Yeah, so there was like over 170 rushing yards to Green Bay last year. I just think it comes down to whether or not they give him the ball.
Yeah, Boston
He's
Scott.
splitting snaps with Boston Scott.
Like, what world do we live in, dude? Boston Scott's not a good football player.
Yeah. I think I would go to Miles Sanders a lot here. He's sub 5% ownership. GPPs, I think he's a smash play if you fade Aaron Jones. I think you have to play him with Devontae Adams, which gets pricey, but I hate to say it, and this is my guy, Jalen Reagor, 4,500. He's pretty much their number one receiver the last 4 or 5 weeks since he came back from injury. 5+ targets a game in each one. But Carson Wentz is just
trash.
Is he bad? Is he actually bad?
I think Carson Wentz is actually bad. But one piece of the puzzle that I'm really waiting for this slate is Jair Alexander, if he's playing or not. Because if he's not playing, then I'm smashing Reagor, like you said, at $4,500. Carson Wentz can be trash. Reagor will eat if there's no Jair Alexander. But if Jair Alexander is playing, then I don't know. But then Zach Ertz also came back this week. So that's Alshon Jeffrey coming back from 2 weeks ago. Ertz coming back also as well. People are hyping up Goddard here at $4,300, but we just got done talking about Mike Joseki at $4,200. I think that's a way better play in overall. But I don't know what to do because I'm going to have to run it back with somebody here. And one of the pass-catching options, and it's going to have to come down to either Reagor, Fulgham, or Goddard. And Fulgham's been kind of MIA of recent.
I mean, yeah, Alshon played more snaps than Fulgham last week, so.
Yeah, that's when the Fulgham love stop.
Do you think Jair even shadows Reagor, though? I mean, he hasn't done anything to prove that he's worth shadowing. I think this is a situation where he stays on the side.
I agree, man. I think I don't know what to access from this game to like really break it down, but there's going to be fantasy points scored in this game. I think this is one of the sneaky like game stacks that like people see Aaron Rodgers, but he isn't really. I don't know. Him and Watson are the same exact price. I feel like people are going to plug in Watson Cooks because it just looks better. You know what I'm saying? And people aren't going to want to play Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams because of the price. That stack right there. And then Alan Lazard, I think, is also like a good double stack option. And then even if you don't want to play Alan Lazard, Robert Tonyan at $3,700 with Aaron Rodgers in a stack, running it back with Miles Sanders and fading to Dallas. Goddard, like a little bit of ownership that he's getting because I think that's double digits. So $3,700 for Robert Tonyan. Not really too high on the player, but Aaron Rodgers is probably going to get him the ball like 4 or 5 times, and if he gets a touchdown at $3,700, tight end's a free for all this week. It's like really ugly. Like people are going to play Firkser and cash, and then GPPs is like you can do whatever.
Yeah, I think Tunyon's a good play. He hasn't really had red zone usage, which is probably really concerning for a tight end. But he's one of Rodgers' guys, and this guy works out with Kittle and Hawkinson in the offseason, so good pedigree right there. But I think Ertz is interesting. He's not going to be any owned. I think Goddard's interesting too, but I don't know. I don't want guys attached to Carson Wentz that badly. And if I do, I think I want it to be Miles Sanders and Jalen Reagor, and that's it. Because Reagor can just catch one bomb and pay off his salary. So,
yeah, we've seen spots earlier on this year. Remember I think it was like the Pittsburgh game that one day that I came to pick up my computer charger or something like that. And remember Miles Sanders that game? He got there. I think it was the Ravens game. He actually like got there points wise, but the Eagles defense, offense was like a mess. They didn't really score a lot of points, but he broke off for like one big run. I feel like that's the type of upside that you get with Miles Sanders here in this spot against Green Bay, and he's not going to be owned at all. Swift was the play in that price range, but we got to get off of Swift out of our mind and get ready for Week 14 with Swift. So Week 13, I think I'm going to play Sanders and replace my Swift shares with Sanders.
Yeah, it was the Steelers game where he had a 74-yard touchdown run, but then still only had 11 carries for 80 yards. But like that's good, Against the Ravens too, Miles Sanders had 9 carries for 118 yards. He's just capable of breaking a long one, and when he does that, he does it in low-owned games, and he's looking like 2 to 4% owned right here. Yeah, Miles Sanders is definitely a good play. 6,700 too, really cheap. Yeah, but that's probably it. I don't really want anything attached to Carson Wentz right now. So yeah,
because I think the running back that we talk about in the next game is going to be like 3 times the ownership of Miles Sanders in that same price range.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like the same type of, in broad view perspective, they have like the same type of like situation they're going into this week. The Chargers New England game is only a pick 'em. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely really interested in that game. I think Eckler is the best play on the slate.
As we get into this game, New England Chargers, Eckler's the best play in this league.
Yeah, he's carrying that ownership too, but I think he's a smash.
You can't fade it. He's Danny Woodhead, Ryan Matthews, and every Chargers running back that we wanted combined into one, and he's just been smashing. Sketchy situation early on in the season with Tyrod Taylor, but Justin Herbert, good quarterback, checks down, like the passing game usage that I saw from last week. Dude, I played Austin Eckler Sunday morning, plugged him in like my GPP lineups after we got the good to go that he was off the IR, and it was this close to getting there from like breaking off to like that milli maker worth of type of game. And I think he is a cash game staple this week. He's one of my core plays for cash. He should be in all your cash game lineups. And if you're playing in a 3 max, that's up to you to decide what you want to do with Austin Eckler at that point, I feel like.
Yeah, he had more targets than he had carries last week. This guy is someone you want to be overweight on. I'm okay with getting him wrong if he busts, but when you're getting 16 targets, you're not going to bust. Justin Herbert's a good quarterback, real good. Top 3 guy probably going forward. This is an awesome matchup. I think Eckler is great chalk. It's core play for cash, core play for GPPs too. 40% owned. I think I'm going to go over that. I think I want him in at least half of my lineups.
Yeah, I'm a big 3 max guy, and I'm looking at Eckler in 2 out of 3 lineups for me this week. So I don't know how we're going to fit in everything with pricing, but I'm just going to have to get greasy. This is a greasy slate. Like everything, there's nothing about this slate that you're going to look at your lineup and be like, oh, man, the point per dollar value is looking really good. I got really good ownership projection, leverage, and stuff like that. You're just going to have to close your eyes and just let it rock this week. Don't look at your Draftkings lineups in the middle of the day. Just look at it once the 4 o'clock slate comes up and you have to late swap. It's a really good late swap game because remember the games that we just got done talking about? New York Giants, LA Rams, Philadelphia, New England. All 4 of those games are all in the late swap options. So if you bust out early and you're looking for low ownership, you can play Bob Woods and then Cooper Kupp also as well. You can also look at a couple running back options. If you have like a chalky running back in there like Austin Eckler for GPP, you can kind of get like an ownership leverage and go down to Miles Sanders. I think there's a lot of things that you can do in this 4 o'clock leverage type of game. Usually I like to go to sleep during the 1 o'clock games because the Eagles suck this year, and I usually wake up for the 4 o'clock late swap games. But this week, I think I'm going to have to like stay by like the TV and get ready for late swaps because this is a really good late swap type of slate for me.
Yeah, anytime the good games are the 4 o'clock games, you got to have that open. Chris Carson
with the swap in the early game.
Yeah, this is definitely one you want to late swap on. Keenan Allen's looking under-owned. Jacoby Myers is looking very under-owned. I think Casey Hayward's still out for the Chargers. This game's really interesting. 47.5 total, though, seems low.
We're doing the Jacoby Myers thing. We're doing the Jacoby Myers thing here. I can't play Cam pass-catching options, dude. I can't.
Yeah,
Jacoby Myers
should have stack Cam.
Nah, I'm not saying stacking Cam. I just don't think, like, Cam could throw a football. Like, I don't think that's a thing anymore.
Yeah, he's pretty bad. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think he's had a receiving touchdown, like a wide receiver catch a receiving touchdown this year. Like, that's like really bad.
His first one was last week since before the COVID stuff. Yeah, bad. But I mean, Herbert's going to put up points. There's going to be fantasy points in this game. Not interested in Damian Harris. Really low owned, but not feeling it. James White, full fade.
Yeah, not feeling it either.
Jacoby Myers, I think that's like the only person I'm really into for this.
Yeah, been slamming Justin Herbert of recent, but this might be the first week that I don't do it, and I hope it doesn't burn me. Because, like, dude, I've been on the Herbert bandwagon since I missed out on him for like dynasty leagues and stuff like that. Was this close to hitting the millie a couple weeks ago on FD with having him in my lineup, but I couldn't correlate it right with the running backs. So I hope it doesn't burn me this week, but Justin Herbert, I'm going to miss you. But if you had to give out a core 4 for DraftKings cash game lineups, who would you give out? Austin Eckler's obviously the number 1 pick. Who would be your other 3?
So Austin Eckler, definitely in play for running backs. I'm trying to pull up my stuff here. We go Austin Eckler, not David Montgomery.
Okay.
I'm going to go Austin Eckler, Robert Woods,
Bob Ross and cash. I love it.
Kiki Kute.
Yeah, Kiki's
to open up salary. James Robinson.
Yeah, the only one that would probably fit in there would probably be Devontae Booker. That's my big leverage.
I was gonna go Myles Gaskin over Robinson, but I like Robinson's floor for touches.
Yeah, way better. I think Gaskin's a GPP single entry smash. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the ones where you have to play like one lineup, everybody has that one lineup. I feel like people are just gonna not even think of playing Myles Gaskin.
Yeah, you're definitely right with that. How do you feel about eating chalk on Kute?
I'm doing it in my Watson stacks.
Yeah, I think he's just got a safe floor, and he plays a lot of zone. Kute can be a zone eater.
That's the thing that I think that Kiki QT was a good play once Kenny Stills got cut, and then he became a great play once Will Fuller got hurt. But are you the type of guy to look into the Watson without Fuller splits, or are you more looking at Watson trailing splits? Because I feel like for every person that talks about Watson Fuller splits, you can bring up Watson and trailing games in the second half splits that are really good too also as well. So Watson's a polarizing player for me this week.
The issue with all those splits is that they're tied to Bill O'Brien. And now Bill O'Brien's gone. And we have back-to-back weeks of 30-point games for Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he's matchup-proof. And somebody's got to eat on that. So it's going to be Cooks or Kute. I'm interested to see who else they use at receiver.
Isaiah.
I'm not comfortable. Yeah, I mean, I hope it's Isaiah Coulter for my dynasty teams, but it might just be Jordan Akins.
Right, dude. I think a lot of people underestimate that. Like when some people get like the tight end tag, they think of tight end half blocking, half receiving, but when he's not lining up as a tight end, he's like lining up half of his snaps as a wide receiver, like in the slot.
Yeah, I think David Johnson's coming back this week too.
Yeah, David Johnson's coming back this week. Kills the Duke Johnson vibes, but Duke Johnson, man, you know, maybe I was living in the past of 2012 when he was like hype football player, but Duke Johnson sucks.
Yeah, I mean, he caught his touchdown from out wide last week, which is interesting. Probably could see more slot usage for him, but 5,800, no thanks. Steven Mitchell's not even in the pool.
What's up, Razor Sharp Picks? Shouts to Razor Sharp Picks. He runs the horse racing betting stuff on our channel. Pops up on for the NFL streams and stuff like that. Says my 8-year-old nephew is watching with me. He loves sports and he says he likes listening. Make sure you follow Razor Sharp Picks on Twitter. Dude's been killing the game. Like Dill, dog. He does these horse racing streams on the channel and he goes for like 6-7 hours. They go through every horse racing, John, and they'll be playing like trifecta and like forget the other name of the other one, but it would be like $5-6 on like a couple of different horses, hits for like $2,000. Absurd, dude. It's absurd. It's amazing, bro. He does it every week, Tuesday and Thursday, bro. It's amazing.
I wish football was like that.
Right? It's like you got to grind out hours worth of information, start filtering bad chalk, and then wake up Sunday morning, and then like 3 players that you like probably are on COVID, and then you have to go from there. And that's how your Sunday morning starts. Yeah,
the COVID thing's why I got away from cash like this year. Played early on and just feel like I feel like salary doesn't matter as much anymore. So I'd rather just play GPPs and
FanDuel cash. FanDuel cash games, dog. I don't know what it is, but FanDuel cash games is where it's at because you only have to get right in a couple of spots, and if you have access to ownership projections, you know who the chalk is. Like this week on cash games, I feel like you can go James Robinson, Austin Eckler, Devontae Booker, fade Dalvin Cook, and play like Justin Jefferson or Adam Thielen in cash, and like that would be like if that hits and Dalvin Cook doesn't smash this week, that would be like number 1 FanDuel lineup cash game. And that's not even that good of a lineup.
Yeah, I feel like I can't jump into cash week 13.
Yeah, nah, I feel you. Dill, before we head on out of here, give out your 3 favorite GPP plays of the slate and your Twitter stuff, anything you want to plug and all that good stuff.
3 favorite GP plays for the slate: A.J. Brown, Christian Kirk, Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt over King Henry and Chubb. You will be paid off. We went there last week.
Yep, Kareem Hunt. Going to hit the nuts. Going to be in the millie, stacked against A.J. Brown in some way. But
I like it. My 3 GPP plays that I'm going to give out for the people is going to be Myles Gaskin. That's my number 1. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like this is Myles Gaskin week. Number 2 play for me is going to be Michael Pittman Jr. because I'm going to have to run back somebody with these Watson stacks. And then my 3rd favorite play, do I want to give out a tight end, dude? I don't even want to be marked to have like a tight end for the look at it for a review for next week.
Tight end messy.
Tight end is dusty. I'm going to say Mike Joseki. I'm going to go with the Jersey boy.
Yeah.
2 Dolphins in my GPPs. This week is one of those weeks that is either going to be like, I'm texting you on Monday like, yo, what's your Cash App? I need to send you a quarter of this. We fucking just hit for some shit. Or is this like, I'm quiet all day Sunday, and you're not going to see me on Twitter.
Yeah, I can't wait to tilt Corey Davis. So
that's the type of week you're going for.
Derrick Henry and Chubb are each other.
What's his name? Anthony Firkser?
Firkser, yeah. It's going to be a Derrick Henry versus Chubb ground and pound game. And A.J. Brown and Kareem Hunt both miss on the highest total of the Sunday.
How is that? Why is this week 13? Why is that the highest total on the board? Like, even like looking at their recent weeks, how is it still the highest total on the board? That's why I feel like this slate is going to get real interesting because it's just like a free-for-all. There's value options. There's low-owned options. There's good chalk, bad chalk.
Yeah.
It's like everything you
want.
Yeah, it's everything you want in a DFS slate at this point in the season where there's not like 2 or 3 injuries that really determine the slate.
Yeah, I did see one thing earlier this week that Booker, I mean, I grew up a Broncos fan, not a fan of Booker, but he's pass catcher, man. I mean, DK, that's all you really need.
Yeah. But where are you about
the Vikings are averaging 63 points total in Minnesota, and their total's at 51. And like you were saying earlier, you think Jackson's very live for a backdoor cover.
They've been doing it all year.
Yeah, that could be the game to really stack, but I'm going to stick with Tennessee, Cleveland, Kareem Hunt, A.J. Brown, and then late guy Christian Kirk.
Yeah, I feel you. I think in the early window, the game that I'm really going to get to is that Jacksonville-Minnesota game, obviously like with everybody else. And then my low-owned one for stacks would be the Cincinnati-Miami game. I think that's a good one-off type of situation. And then my favorite game on the board, dude, is this Philadelphia-Green Bay game. I just feel like we don't know what we're going to expect from the Eagles offense, but Green Bay and Eagles, look at their stats from previous seasons and stuff like that, and they play against each other. People just find a way to like get there points wise, and I think Sanders can get there, and the Eagles can lose by 15.
Yeah, I think it's possible. He's got to stop dropping the ball.
Yeah,
I mean, one of these weeks Carson's going to hit for something, unless he truly just has like the yips. But Green Bay's going to score at will. And if this game's going to be close at all, it's 7.5 point spread. But yeah, I think this game is probably the greasy game. And Cincy-Miami.
Yeah, Cincy-Miami is also a greasy one. But we're rolling on to an hour and 20 minutes, so we're about to head on out of here. Shouts to the people that are watching or are going to replay this after, I guess, the UFC stuff comes out for tonight and all that stuff. But if you watched this video, you made it this far in, God bless for this weekend because we literally went through every player, through every team, and different situations and stuff like that. And if you don't cash this week, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. I know Patrick Mahomes isn't on the slate. That's why this video ended up being an hour and 20 minutes. That's why I didn't want to bring you on last week because it was just like, all right, let's not bring up the Patrick Mahomes ownership any more than what it really should be because people weren't playing Patrick Mahomes last week. They were playing Josh Allen.
It's never high enough for Patrick Mahomes.
I touted Josh Allen, then looked at a couple of things and saw Patrick Mahomes. What? Why is he the third lowest owned quarterback at the top end?
Yeah, always Mahomes. That's my motto for DFS.
Yeah, nah, man, definitely paid off through the years. But make sure you check out Talking Hands coming on, I think, either 9 or 10 o'clock. They're breaking down this Hermanson Vittori card. We got DFS by the numbers on there with the Talking Hands crew. They've been breaking it down week by week, been throwing out crazy fucking plays of recent. I think last week I threw out the Gina Manzani Ostovich one, not going the distance. Boss Man hit on Anthony Smith sub prop, and DFS by the numbers hit. I forget what he played. I think it was like one of those fights to end inside a distance. It was a crazy card last week. I really like this card for this upcoming weekend. Got a couple plays for it, but that will be for Saturday because, Saturday are for the boys in UFC. Conor McGregor's fighting in 2021. It's a great world that we live in, man. It's a great world that we live in. Dill, anything you want to plug before we head on out of here?
No, that's it, man. Good luck to everybody.
where can they follow you at on Twitter? Because Dill, one of my favorite things is like getting my Sunday morning coffee and being in the Dunkin' Donuts line for 30 minutes and seeing you drop like a nugget or something like that and just think, let's go. I'm not even in and we think alike.
So it's at Dillon Josephsen right now. Private, but I'm accepting follows, just making sure no one's watching my stuff in the job hunt.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. It's in the description. Make sure you check out the description. You can see where you can find both of us at. We're going to head on out of here. Shouts to Pub Sports Radio for sponsoring the show. If you're looking for a book, use mybookie.ag, promo code Pub Sports Radio, and go over to pubsportsradio.com and visit the shop. We got a lot of stuff in the shop. And shouts to everybody that joined us in chat. A couple people that I didn't get to. What's up, Danny Sejo, one of the newer members that we have on the crew for the panel, and Alex Ramirez, one of the guys that we always have in here. And Razor, man, we're going to end up having the Eagles-Packers bet on stream Sunday night. And shouts to Mills again. If you're looking for an interview, watch the one earlier today. First female that we had on Seconds Out, and that was a great interview. Pretty funny because Mills is like a Cali laid-back guy, and she's like Colombian. So it was like a funny vibe of just them talking to each other and stuff like that. Because they weren't asking like dry questions. They were trying to get to like, what are you doing with your career? You're 3-0. Where are you going? That shit was funny, man. Because the chat doesn't know how to handle themselves. But we're out.
Peace.